So there are just three small things that I want to mention before we wrap up this composite. First of all, if you're going to print your image, I would just recommend that you go into each one of the masks and double check it. And in order to see the mask, I can just hold down the Option key and then click on it. And I would go through my different masks, option clicking on them, to make sure that there aren't any sharp edges or any mistakes in the mask that I might have overlooked. Because I can't tell you how many times I've thought I was finished with something and I've printed it only to find when the print comes back, I've just got this little mistake because I forgot to select something or I inadvertently moved a mask. The second item is really only going to be important if you find that the file sizes for your composites are just becoming way too unwieldy. Typically, I want to keep my images in a state where they're really flexible, where I can come back at any time and make changes that are non-destructive. But I do understand that sometimes file sizes can get out of control, in which case you might want to take a look at rasterizing some of your images. The problem is if I were to select like the water image and then right mouse click and rasterize the layer, it turns that smart object into a regular pixel-based layer so that I don't have the flexibility to double click on it, go back in and actually edit those contents in Camera Raw. So it's always a trade-off. I would recommend that you keep all of your smart objects, but I understand that sometimes it's necessary to rasterize some of the layers. If you absolutely know that you've resized an image and you're never going to want to resize it again, you could also try rasterizing some of those layers. In addition, if you do have pixel-based layers and they extend beyond the canvas size, you could do a quick select all and then choose image crop, and it would crop out any information that extends beyond the canvas size. Just know that if you then want to reposition that layer at a later date, you're not going to have that extra information off to the sides. And finally, I almost never use the layer flatten image command. If I need a flattened version of this file, instead of flattening it and then saving that flattened version, I will simply choose File, Save As, and then if I wanted it as a Photoshop document, I would simply uncheck Layers. If I wanted this as a JPEG file, I would select JPEG from the list, and you can see because the JPEG file format doesn't support layers, it would automatically flatten the document. But when you save this way, it's actually going to save out the JPEG, and it's going to leave you working with the active file that you have. So that way, you can't inadvertently flatten the file and then save over your layered document. Finally, I also find that when I am creating an image, I like to finish the image and then step away. I'll return to it at a later time when I can then see it with fresh eyes and refine it if needed.